Okay, students. So I'm not sure if we started um before, so I'm just going to greet you again. So I was saying good afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another session where we will be exploring performance tasks. And this performance task that we're going to explore today is called the P farmer. And during this task, or as we explore this task, we're going to be touching on some math concepts, of course, because it's a maths performance task. And these concepts are fraction, area, and perimeter. Welcome, Jamari. Thank you for joining me here. And we are going to go right ahead and begin. So some things that you're going to need for this performance task are you going to need your pencil or your pens. You're going to need your books or some sheets of paper. You're going to need graph paper. But if you don't have any, you can always go ahead and use your ruler to draw whatever is required of you. So you're also going to need your ruler. All right, so now that we're here, welcome all you students there on YouTube. Melania, I'm seeing Ashana FI, I'm seeing Nalani, I'm seeing the only rat, Stefan Garel, Jake One Wisdom, many more of you. So I want to welcome you as well. And even though it's almost summertime, we're still going to explore some performance tasks because remember, next term, as you go back to school September, sometime in that term, you will be doing your performance task. So we still need to have our brain juice running and we still need to get prepared for that exam. All right, so our task is this. Farmer Luke plants different kinds of peas that he supplies to a factory each week. He plants 4 different kinds of peas. Each pea needs to be 10 centimeters away from the other and must be planted in parallel lines. Now, there are some concepts here that we must bear in mind. We must take in consideration some things that we really need to think about before we can even start this performance task. Now, can I see those students? Can I see those students who know what a farmer does, or what might happen on a pea farm, or do you know any different kinds of peas? What can you share about the information that is given here? What about parallel lines? What are parallel lines? Stuff
Uh,
like that. There are some things that you need to know before you begin. Is there anything you would like to share?
no, miss.
Jamari, were you saying something?
Miss, I just said no, miss.
Okay, no problem. No problem. We have other classmates over there on YouTube that are ready to share. All right. So there are some things that we need to think about. So we know that a farmer is a person that plants things. So they have a farm and they would plant many different things like fruits and vegetables and peas, like in this case. Some farmers plant some farmers plant ground provisions. And some example of ground provisions are, can you share some ground provisions that you know? All right, so I see Nalani and Ashana telling me about gungo peas, red peas, balakai peas, broad beans, banabis peas. All right, Ashana, you know a lot of peas. And I see red kidney peas and so on as well. So I'm seeing where a lot of my students, they know so much about peas. And I also see some students sharing about parallel lines. So Zara says parallel lines never meet. That girl Talia says the same thing. So those are some things that we know about parallel lines, and those are some lots of peas that we actually know. I see Dana Powell saying string bean. So we know a lot of those things, all these kind of peas. Well, I don't know some of these peas, but I've heard about them. All right. So thank you guys so much for sharing. All right. So Nalani says that farmers also take care of livestock. Definitely, farmers also takes care of animals. So those are some things that farmers do. So we talk about what a farmer does. We talk about different kinds of peas and the parallel lines. They are lines that go across or up in the same direction as Michaela says. So we have parallel lines. They run in the same direction and they never meet. We
It's,
also need, yes, Jamari?
I was saying that parallel lines are lines that go beside each other but they never meet. So that what they're saying by they never meet, they never intersect with each other.
Definitely, definitely. So you're really agreeing with these students who are sharing on YouTube here. So they never meet. And something we need to know is that they are equal distance apart. No matter how far you go along the line, it's the same distance away from the other. So we use a nice little term to describe that. We call it equidistance. So parallel lines are equidistance apart. All right, so take a screenshot of what we have here, or I'm not sure how quick you can write down the important points here. So take a screenshot, or just take a picture of what we have here because this important information here, we're going to need it when we go on in the performance task. And for our grade 3 students that are with us, welcome. And I know that you will be doing your PEP, your performance task, in some months as well, because you'll be going into grade 4 September, and so you will be doing performance tasks very soon as well. So before I go any further, I want to remind other persons as well as inform our new grade 3 students who are going into grade 4 that performance task is like a math story. It's like a little story. It's definitely something that we do in everyday life. It has real world context. So farmer look here planting peas is something that happens in real life. So that is what performance task is about. Real life problems. And it's like a little story because it moves from one point to the next. All right. All right. So let's go. So I realize you guys will have screenshot this. So the first thing that we want us to think about here in this performance task is, since Farmer Luke wants to plant some peas on his farm, we want to help him to sketch how his farm will look if it is rectangular, and he will use an area of 360 square meters. Now, of course, Farmer Luke plant enough things, but this part of the farm that he's going to use will be rectangular, and it has an area of 360 square meters. So what I want you to do is I want to think of what dimensions could his farm is the piece part of his farm be, because it's rectangular, so we know what a rectangle is, as well as we we know that the area that he will use to plant those peas will be 360 square meters. So what are some possible dimensions? Go ahead, think about it, and share with us some possible dimensions of Farmer Luke's peas farm. And can anyone tell us what we mean by dimensions? Can anyone share with us what dimensions mean?
Means when they're saying dimension, this is what I think. When they're saying dimension, they're talking about what number is on the side of the shape.
Okay, so if a number is on the side of the shape, what do you mean by the side of the shape though?
It's what I'm trying to say, like, just kind of show you on the board.
Okay, sure.
So if they have a square like this and they have 26 meters inside of it, then they would have they were supposed to have numbers right here to make up this number to make up 26,
All right.
meters
So,
square.
oh, you're saying 26 meters square is the area.
Yes, miss. So you're supposed
Okay.
to find the number that can go into it, and the number that can make up this number that is the total is one of the dimensions.
Okay. So, but remember now, even though we talk about that, when we're talking about dimensions, okay, so I see Nalani come up with what I was looking for. So we're talking about the length and the width, as Nalani Pigot says. We're talking about the length and the width. So you had a square there, Jamari. So we're talking about the length being a dimension and the width being a dimensions. So those are what we talk about when we talk about dimensions. We talk about length and width. All right. All right, thank you for that, Jamari. So we talk about length and we talk about width. So what you guys should be working on now, okay? I'm seeing Jasmine, Treasure saying length, width, and height. Definitely. Those are things when we're talking about dimensions that we're going to use. All right, so go ahead, guys, and I want you to tell me about the possible dimensions that this farm or this 360 meters square farm could have. All right, so I see Nalani says the length could be 10 meters and the width could be 36 meters. That sounds good, Nalani. That sounds really good. So let me hear from the others. So this is one possible dimension. That is great job, Nalani. Can you guys share other dimensions? Because certainly we have several dimensions that this farm could have. All right, so I'm seeing Marissa Stewart saying length could be 20 meters, width could be 18 meters. That is also good. But can you guys who would have given responses already, can you go ahead and tell me how did you come up with these dimensions? So write a sentence explaining to us how you came up with these dimensions. All right, so I see one that says 61 length and 32. Remember, we must have our what? What is important along with these numbers? What must we have with these numbers? Can we just have source of numbers, sir? It's very important to have our units. So I see where you have length 61 and width 32. All right. So Can Gaming says to get these dimensions, we multiply length times or he said length times width, but I don't understand what we're doing here. What are we really doing here? I need you to explain to me. So persons had said 20 meters and 18 meters. Other person said something other persons had said 10 meters, 36 meters. Can you explain to me how we come up with these? So Michaela says the length would be 40 centimeter and the width could be 90 centimeters. Remember now, what unit are we talking about? Thank you, Maris Kapinok. We must have the unit. Thank you, dear use. We must have the unit. And Jasmine, awesome. We must have units on our numbers. And is our unit centimeters? What is our unit here? So
Yes.
we are, yes, Jamari?
Miss, I was saying the units is meters.
Awesome. The unit is meters. All right, Michaela Hamilton. All right, so I see you made your correction there. So 40 meters and 90 meters, I see with those dimensions. All right, but you need to check your dimensions though. if we have those dimensions, how could we come back and find and how could we double check to see if those dimensions are correct? So what we're doing is that if persons just came on, you might be a little lost, and we're looking at Farmer Luke's farm. He's going to plant some peas, and the area of his farm will be 360 square meters, and you are to figure out the dimensions. Now we decided already. We know some persons would have shared what they know, and they would have said that dimensions are length and width, and definitely they are correct. Some persons said height as well. That is still correct. You know, so what we're doing, we're finding possible dimensions that Farmer Luke's farm could really be. So Nalani says, I got 10 meters for the length and 36 meters for a possible dimension because I know 36 times 10 is equal to 360. And I know that length times width equals the area, and the overall area for the farm is 360 meters. Great job, Nalani. That is awesome explanation. You are so correct. So that is definitely correct. Definitely correct. All right. So let us look at some possible dimensions. I'm only seeing two possible dimensions. All right. So Nalani also said that we could divide the area of the farm by our answers. Kaylee said we could multiply. Michaela says we could multiply. I'm seeing Sherika saying division. The diary use saying multiply. I'm seeing a lot of persons saying multiply and divide. All right, so I have worked this out as well in case you didn't come up with all of them, and I came up with several more possible dimensions. I'm just going to wait a little more to see if you're going to come up with any more. So I see 75 meters and 5 meters from Zara Thompson. Great job. That is definitely one possible dimension. Let me hear from the others. What other possible dimensions could we use for this farm if the area is 360 square meters? All right, so I'm seeing 2 times 180 meters. 2 meters
Yes,
times 180 meters from Zara. Great job, Zara. Yes, Jamari?
yes, it could maybe have 60 times 6.
We could have 60 multiplied by 6 meters. Great. That is also one other possible dimensions. So you guys would have given us several possible dimensions. Several possible dimensions. I'm seeing where Michaela also said 40 meters by 9 meters. Great job. So those are really a lot of possible dimensions that Farmer Luke's farm could be. Now, if we were talking about like a room, a classroom or somewhere, you know that we must select the most appropriate one. Zarian Wong says 120 times 3. Yes, 120 meters times 3. Yes, Zarian Wong, we need our units. Right, so those are some possible dimensions. All right, so we know that if we're working with rooms and so on, it would be best for us to select the most appropriate ones. And that would be the ones where the dimensions are close in length, you know. So, but now we're working on a farm. I mean, Farmer Luke's farm could be very long and narrow, or it could be a nice little rectangle, almost looking like a square, you know. So we could use once it's a rectangle, we could use any dimensions here once it gives us the area that we're looking for. So I see Zara saying 18 times 20 as well. So yes, I think someone had said that. Great job, guys. So I'm going to show you some of the possible dimensions that I came up with. I have 120 meters times 2 meters, and you got that. I have 180 meters times 2 meters, which you got. I also came up with 120 meters times 3 meters, 90 meters times 4 meters, 72 meters times 5 meters, 60 meters times 6 meters. And I see some other ones coming up here. I see use saying 15 meters times 24 meters. Let's see. Let me see if I came up with that as well. All right, so we have 45 meters by 8 meters, 40 meters times 9 meters, 36 meters times 10 meters, 30 meters times 12 meters, 24 meters times 15 meters, and 18 meters times 20 meters. Awesome, guys. So remember now, you can use any of these dimensions because what is unique about these is that if we are to multiply these dimensions that we have here, we will come up back with the area. So if we multiply 180 meters by 2 meters, we will get the area of 360 meters square. And someone would have explained to us in the chat that how do we find area again? Can some Jamari, can you share with us what do we do to find area?
You would have done to find area, all you needed to do is just if you have a rectangle and you have 180 meters and you have 2 meters, all you have to do is multiply those two numbers, and then you get your answer. But
All
you'd have
right.
to have a 2 beside of the number, so you'd have gotten 360 meters square.
All right, so we need to use this little square up here. There's like a two up beside the unit that tells us that it's area. So we need to have that. So to find the area, we multiply length times width. I see Dior saying that as well. Use and Lenique, Vassal, Janice, I'm seeing Zara. A lot of persons, Michaela saying that to find the area, we multiply length times width. Great job, guys. So that is simply what we need to do. We have our two dimensions. We can call one length, we can call the other width, and we multiply them to check to see if we get back our 360 square meters. If we don't get it back, it means that these dimensions can't work, right? All right, so now you would have gotten your dimensions, and if you have not gotten the dimensions as yet, you can just select one here so that you have that to work on the next part of this performance task. All right, so here we want to help Farmer Luke to sketch out his farm. We want to sketch out the farm will look if it's rectangle and it has the area of 360 meters. So I have sketched mine out, but I want you to go ahead and sketch yours out in your book because you need to actually have these things done before we move on to the next part of the question. So of course I would have sketched mine, but I want you to go ahead in your book to sketch yours. Go
Okay,
ahead
Miss.
and sketch your farm with the dimensions that you choose.
Miss, I saw the square come up on the screen, but I
All
didn't
right,
see
that is
any.
mine. Right, but that is fine because there are several different dimensions that you could use. That's just the one that I have used. But go ahead and use whatever dimensions you guys want to use. All right, and remember that none of these dimensions would have given us a square. They all gave us rectangles. All right, so go ahead, guys, and working on yours. Right, Zara. So I made mine with 18 times 20, but I want you to go ahead and create yours. All right, so remember when you're drawing shapes, you use your rulers. So we don't want, even though I'm not seeing what's happening in your book, I want you to go ahead still and use your ruler to ensure that you have a need to drawing. All right, so go ahead, draw your rectangle with the dimensions that you have. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you mine. So if you look, I use 20 meters here multiplied by 18 meters. So I have 20 meters for my width and 18 meters for my length.
Is
So
it
what
not?
is happening here? Pardon me?
You know that I had realized that 20 times 18 is 130, 106, 360. So I was
Right.
going to use that, but since you just said it, I most likely got that right.
All right, no problem. Because remember, I showed all the dimensions because you guys would have shared several dimensions. And okay, Michaela says she using hers is 9 multiplied by 20. Great. So you can use any of those dimensions because whatever you do with those dimensions that we would have established, when you multiply the length times the width, you will end up with 360 square meters. So any one of them is fine. But in this case, this is mine. This is the one I'll be using. Now, what I want you guys to make note of is this. When you would have drawn your rectangle, remember now that we still need to think about proportion. And when we talk about proportion is that we need to even though we're not measuring accurately, we're not drawing it to scale, we need to ensure that if we say here is 20 meters, it must be longer than the 18 meters. But 18 meters is not very far from 20 meters. So it's just a little bit longer than this length. So I want you to think about proportion when you're working with yours. Proportion. If you're going to make this 20 meters, ensure that the 18 meters is not the same as 20 meters and it's not longer either. Nor is it very much shorter. It should be close to the the length of the 20 meters. For Michaela, who says that she used 9 times 40, remember now, if you're using 40, remember that your 40 should be very long compared to what your 9 will be, because 40 is practically almost 4 times longer than the 9. So, we think about those things, proportion when we are drawing. All right, so I see someone said 90 times 4. So Janelle says she used 90 meters times 4. Mark Francis says 8 times 20, but 8 times 20 does not give us 360 square meters, Mark, but 18 times 20 does. So if you multiply 18 meters by 20 meters, you would definitely get your 360 square meters, but not 8 times 20. All right, so this is our sketch. I'm just going to go right ahead because some persons would have used graph paper as well. But for those who didn't, it's still fine. All right. So the question that I'm asking next from that is, how many whole of peas can he plant? How many whole of peas can he plant? No. Remember now, in the first part, we had some important information in the first part. Remember when I asked you to take a screenshot? Yes?
Yes, could I sorry to interrupt while you're speaking, but can I tell you one of the important parts of it?
Okay.
So it said that each of the peas would have to been 10 centimeters away from each other.
Great job. Great job. So students, that is that important information that we must take away from the first part of the performance task. Because remember, I said to you that performance task, everything linked, everything connected. So you saw this bit of information up here. So and you say, why must give us this part? But this part doesn't make no sense. We don't need this information, but we do. When you go further down, you realize that we need that information to answer other questions. So the important information is that each P must be 10 centimeters away from the other. Now, something that we need to look at here, because remember now it says that each P must be 10 centimeters away from the other, but our dimensions up here are in meters. Did you notice that, students? Did you notice that we have this in we have our 20, we have 20 meters for our dimensions and 18 meters, as well as for all the other dimensions we have meters. So what is it that we need to do then? Because how are we going to determine where the centimeter is going to be up here? What do we need to do with this 20 meters?
You have to convert it to centimeters.
We have to convert it to centimeters. Great. We must convert that to centimeters. So I want person to share in the chat, what is 20 meters? as centimeters?
2,000 centimeters.
What was that?
So saying that 20 meters in centimeters is 2,000 centimeters.
Oh, 2000. All right. Well, let us see. Let me hear from the others in the chat. The others will post and I will see if a lot of them are agreeing with you. All right. So Janice says we must convert it. So is Nalani and Lanique. So we definitely need to convert it to centimeters. Great. All right. So Michaela says 200 centimeters, but hold on a little. I want to hear from a lot more persons first. Michaela, okay. Dana Powell says 2000, but 2000 what, Dana? Can't put her answers without its unit. Janelle says 200 centimeters. Sharika Campbell says 2000, but I want to see some units, guys. All right, so Kaylee D'Souza says 1000 centimeters is 1 meters. Let us see if that is really so. All right, Nalani Pigot says 20 meters is equal to 200 centimeters. Thank you for that precision in your answer, Nalani. Those are some things I love to see. I want you guys to share your answers in such a precise way that we know exactly what you're talking about. So I'm seeing Dana Powell. I think she has made her correction and she has 2,000 centimeters. Kaylee as well, Kaylee D'Souza as well, Michaela. All right, so Mariska Pinnock says multiply 100 to convert to centimeter. So 20 meters times 100 is equal to 2,000 centimeters. Now, Jamari, I see a lot of persons here saying 2,000 centimeters like you. And guess what, guys? You guys are so correct. So someone had said that 100 centimeters is the same as 1 meter. And so for 20 meters up here, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to annotate. For 20 meters up here, it is the same as 2,000 centimeters. All right. So I'm going to write 2,000 centimeters here.
Miss 20, no, wait. No, Miss 20 for 20 from converting from smaller to greater, you have to multiply. So yes, it's been 2,000 centimeters. But if you're changing it from, wait, I think I confused myself.
Right. So I want you to think about it instead of thinking about it in an algorithmic way. You're thinking about it as a procedure. Why not think about it if you know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters, 2 centimeters is 200 centimeters. We can actually think about all of that and then determine our answer. So that's what I want us to consider when we're talking about these things. I want us to think about how many meters make a make how many centimeters make a meter and so on. And then we can transfer that learning. So Michaela Hamilton is also saying to us that for the 18 meters, we have 1,800 centimeters. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write that as well. So can you go ahead now and tell me, remember it also said that we need to plant the peas. How we need to plant the peas? Let me hear from those persons in YouTube in the chat as well. How are we to plant those peas? There was some important information in the first part, that tells us how the peas must be planted.
Miss, what they had told you was that they were supposed to be 10 centimeters apart from each other. So,
Right. So they must be 10 centimeters apart from each other. But what else? How do we need to organize the pea holes when we're planting them? The peas must be planted in what sort of arrangement? Right, Kaylee? Yes, we need to plant them 10 centimeters apart. Thank you, Michaela. They must be in parallel lines. Thank you, Jasmine. They must be in parallel lines. Something we must bear in mind. We must be planting those peas in parallel lines. Awesome. So if we're planting them in parallel lines, what could you say? What do you think will happen up here in the first horizontal line? You could see me moving my cursor across. How many p holes can we have in this line going across?
Miss,
Yes.
Your camera's on.
Oh, yes, I'm aware.
Oh,
Thank you. All right. All right, guys. So I want you to tell me how many peas we can plant up here. How many peas? Because it says now we have 2,000 centimeters coming across here. So how many can we plant? All right. So Michaela says 10. Oh, all right. All right. All right, understand, Michaela. So let us go. Let us all think about it. Take some time, work it out on your paper. Take some time, think about it. Zara says 200. I want to hear from the others. In the meantime, Zara, explain to us why you say 200.
so I can't hear you.
Oh, yes, sorry. So I'm reading some comments here. Thank you for that, Jamari. And Mark is saying that they must have planted in a row. Zara says 200. Remember, guys, if we're talking about peas, say 200 peas, 20 peas, 10 peas, you know. So I'm seeing person saying 10, 20, right? I see Lenique Pastor saying 20 peas. All right. I'm seeing Mariska Pinnock saying,
It's 20
yes,
P's. 20 P's.
20 peas. All right. So I want us to bear this in mind, and I'm still taking responses, students. So I want us to bear this in mind. So if we have 2,000 centimeters going across here, it means then that right here would be from right here to right here would be how much centimeter? Can you tell me how much centimeter right here would be then?
Centimeter.
Pardon me?
It's would have been 1 centimeter.
Okay, so remember before, so you're saying it will be 1 centimeter. I'm still waiting for those persons on YouTube, but I know that there's a delay, so they're not hearing the question as I ask them. However, let's look at this. Remember, all of this was 20 meters, where each of these here was 1 meter. So this was 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 4 meters, all the way to 20 meters. But now that we have converted the 20 meters to 2,000 centimeters, and so we know that all this length here represents 2,000 centimeters. Can you tell me what would this length here, length of one of these square units be? Because if it was 1 meter all along, what would it now be?
1 meter, then that means it would have been 100 centimeters.
100 centimeters. So that means this right here will be 100 centimeters. Right here would also be 100 centimeters. Same with here. Now, if it is that we must plant, if it is that we're going to plant the peas 10 centimeters apart, if you're going to plant it, so I'm seeing person saying 1 centimeter, but I'm happy that we actually cleared that up. So it's 100 centimeters, because this part here, this length here where I'm showing with the red is 1 meters. And if we had converted it to centimeters, it means it is 100 centimeters now. Now in 100 centimeters, if it is that we're going to plant the peas 10 centimeters apart, how many peas we can plant in this 100 centimeters? How many peas you can plant in the 100 centimeters?
50.
50?
It's in the 100 centimeters.
Right, so we have 100 centimeters. Peas are to be planted 10 centimeters apart. How many do we have there? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to draw a rough line here. And I'm going to...
Yeah, well done. And since it says they're supposed to be 10 centimeters apart, I ought to divide 10 and 100.
Oh, so you divide 10 by 100.
And I've gotten 10, so I'd say 10.
Okay, but if you had gotten 10, it simply means then that you're going to plant the peas beside each other then, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it that you're going to plant the peas beside each other? Because if you say divide the 100 by 10, which is a very good way to think about it, but remember that the peas must be planted 10 centimeters apart, right?
Or you can find a half of it.
So since you have gone to that part, I wanted to tell me, what do you think? How do you think we can now figure out how many peas we can plant in 100 centimeters?
Um,
So while you think about that, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to demonstrate here because I want also my students on YouTube to understand what is happening. So I'm going to draw right here and I'm going to use this line to represent 100 centimeters. And I'm representing 100 centimeters. I'm going to I'm going to divide it as you had said into 10. So I'm going to show my 10 parts. Hold on a little. Let me see. All right, so there we have divided it into 10 parts. So if it is that you're saying that we're going to plant peas here, peas here, peas here, peas here. So I think I should just stamp those so that person can see what I'm talking. So if we're going to plant peas here, 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 because in real life though, it's not that we're gonna spot these things here. All right, so I'm looking. All right, so we say we're gonna plant them. So from right here to here would be one hole for peas. Or maybe I should not represent it like that. Just hold on, let me try to find something else that can represent it a little better for us. I'm not seeing the correct answer, or I'm not seeing the expected answer yet in the chat. So let me use this. All right, so right here is one part for peas. And that is actually one all of peas. So remember that we're going to put them 10 centimeters apart. So we're not going to plant any peas here, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to plant peas here. Then we're not going to plant any here. We're going to plant one here. We're not planting any here, but we're going to plant one right here. None here, but one right here. And even though we have some space leave out at the end, the farm part stop right here. So we really can't put any here. So in each 100 centimeter, how many peas can we really plant? All right, so I'm seeing Michaela Hamilton saying 5. Remember now, 5 centimeters. Remember, we're talking about peas there, so we would need to say peas. I see Jasmine Treasure saying 5. Michaela Hamilton, I'm seeing person saying centimeters, but we're talking about peas. All right, so yes, Jamari.
peas.
I'm not hearing it. Oh, 5 P's. Awesome. So Nalani, Jasmine. All right. So they're definitely agreeing with you as well, Jamari, that we need 5 P's. So if in this part here, 5, let me change my thing here. So if right here we can 5 P hole will be here. It means that right here. So we'd also have what again? Right here, so can hold 5 more again because it's another 100 centimeters. So another 5 would be here, and another 5 would be here, and we would have 5 P's in each 100 centimeters going across here. So that means then, how many P holes will we have going across? How many
If,
horizontal P holes in?
instead of putting the 5 there and counting them, all you can do is just multiply 5 into 2,000.
Remember, we don't multiply into a number, we multiply 5 by a number. All right. So we would multiply 5 by 2,000. Are we sure?
Yes, miss.
Okay, let me hear what the others think. Do you agree with him, my students there on YouTube? Do you agree that we would need to multiply 5 by 2,000 to see how many P holes we'll have going across? Think about it. If you multiply 5 times 2,000 centimeters, Jamari, how many P holes would you have now?
You would have gotten
All right, great job, Lenique. I'm happy that you would have understood now. So I want to see how can we figure out how many we're going to plant across here. All right. So all right. So they don't agree with you, Jamari. They don't agree with you. And
Yes,
here
Miss.
what? I need oh you don't agree. You're changing your answer now?
Yes, Miss.
All
I
right,
would
good.
say that 100.
You would multiply 5 by 100.
No, Miss, I'm not multiplying by 100. I
Oh, you're
counted up
saying
each space and I got 100 peas.
okay, so you got 100 p's, but I want to hear how are we gonna get the 100 p's? So I'm seeing persons saying 5 times 20. Jasmine says 5 times. Jasmine says 5 times 20. Josiah Lamy or Lamy says keep counting across by 5. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of persons and they're actually saying 100 piece as well. So some persons have gone ahead to share that we will have 100 piece going across. So that is what is really happening here. 100 piece. And we can't just write 100 guys. We need to write 100 piece. So of course we can skip counting by 5 going across because we know that for each of these right here, each of these units, we have 100 centimeters, which is the same as 5 p's. So if we say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and we said 5, we add 5, how many times we're going to add 5? 20 times. We can just multiply 5 by 20, all right? And we would have gotten the number of p's going across here. So we say we have 100 p's. Let me just change this color here. So I'm going to label here to say 100 p's. Can you tell me how many p's would be right here going down?
Miss, since it's 8, hold on.
All right, great job, guys. I see you have calculated 5 times 20 to give you 100 p's. All
Miss,
right.
I would say, Miss, for the 18 the 18 part for the side, I would say 90 peas.
All right. And I see persons already saying 90 p's too, Jamari. So here what? I'm still not sure if that is the correct answer. So I need some persons to really explain to me. How did you get 90 p's? How did you get 90 p's?
Miss, I got 90 peas by multiplying 18 in, wait, 5 into 18.
How do we say that? Do we say multiply 5 into a number? Remember, we say into when we're talking about division. We're not dividing, so we don't use the term into, say 5 into 18. So how do we say that? We multiply 5, what we're gonna say there? All right, so I'm seeing persons sharing that we multiply 18 by 5, which will give us 90 p's. So thank you, Michaela. So we don't say into, we say by. So thank you, Jasmine. Right, so we multiply 5 by 18. So 5 p's by 18 units, and that gave us 90 p's. So I want you guys to ensure that you're taking your notes and you're actually doing the workout in your books. Now, this is my farm, my sketch of the farm. So ensure that you're doing the same with your farm. Ensure that you would have done the same with your farm because I know some of you would have used different dimensions. So you go ahead and you do what you need to do with your farm. But at the end of the day, the same amount of peas that I'll plant on my sketch, that farmer Luke can plant on my sketch, he can plant on your sketch as well. It will be the same amount of peas because it's the same area that you'll be using. All right. So how many peas can he plant in this whole piece right here then? How many peas can he plant here? I want persons to tell me how for the plot of land or the area of the land right here in all this piece here. Let me just mark it up everywhere here on the land. How many peas can he plant there in all? That is the answer we're looking
1,000.
at now.
Okay, miss, I'm working it out. Okay, I got my answer.
Okay. You can share it. I'm still waiting on those on YouTube to share it as well.
Miss, my answer is 1,800.
All right. So 1,800. All right. How would you get yes, Michaela, in the entire rectangle? How would you get 1,800
Yes,
peas
so
in the whole land?
yes, it said the total area for all of the land is 360. So I multiplied, miss, I can't hear you.
Right.
Marisol.
So 360 square meters, not just 360. We have to talk about the units.
It's 360 meters squared. I multiplied 360 meters squared by 5 and I get 1,800.
All right. So remember now that we're talking about the peas using centimeters now, because we have to. So remember that we're working with centimeters now because we have calculated our P's with the centimeter, talking about centimeters. So we have already converted our units to centimeters and we talk about the P's and how many P's would be there on the horizontal and also on the vertical, the lengths and so on. So is that how we would really calculate it? I'm seeing a lot of persons here who are actually disagreeing with you though, Jamari, and they are saying 9,000 P's. I see Jasmine saying 9,000 P's, Nalani as well. John Matthew says 9,000 and all. What are you talking about, John Matthew? Remember, whatever you're talking about, it can't be just 9,000. Nikisha, same for you. And I'm seeing Mariska saying 9,000 P's. Can someone explain to me though? Can someone explain to me how did you figure out that there are 9,000 peas? 9,000 all of peas is gonna plant in this plot of land. How did you figure it out? Okay, Kaylee says 9,000 peas as well. I want someone to send a sentence or two explaining how we figure out that it's 9,000 peas. Remember, for every answer, we must have our justification. All right, so I'm seeing persons saying 90, they multiply 90 by 100 P's. Yes, 90, we multiply the 90 P's coming down by 100 P's. Because if it is that we didn't multiply 90 by 100 P's, we could have actually gone ahead and just be counting 5, 10, and so on. We could be doing all of those kind of things. We could be doing all of those kind of things. We could be counting the piece, them 5 going all the way down to the end there. So, and I'm pretty sure we would have exceeded 1,800 p's. So we must be multiplying. So we must be multiplying the 100 p's going across with the 90 p's going down. Same like we calculate area. All right, guys. So definitely, let me just. All right. So hold on a little here. All right, so I have the wrong answer being displayed here. However, it is 9,000 whole of peas, which we have calculated as well. So I don't want you to write my wrong answer here. All right, so let me just go ahead and clear what we have. And I want to congratulate all those students who worked it out and the ones especially who gave us explanations. We definitely need explanations. All right, so Let us go continue to this part where Farmer Luke will need to fence his pea farm to protect it from goats. Any one of you know of anybody with their farms and they have to fence it up to protect it from goats? You know,
Yes,
you
Miss,
plant
I
your
actually
gungo, right? Definitely, you plant your gungo peas or your red peas or whatever peas. Sometimes you plant different things, your sorrel and all those different things, your beans and so on. And the goats come into the farm. Not you, because I don't think you guys have farms. Perhaps your parents do, and sometimes you might help. But then the goats come in and the goats destroy the things. They eat down the things, they walk and they trample the smaller plants and so on. So Farmer Luke wants to avoid all of that, and so he decides to fence his pea farm to protect it from goats. What length of fencing does he need? If we're going to figure out the length of fencing that he needs, what what mathematical term do we use to describe that? If we want to know how much fencing he's going to need, how much wire I'm going to need to put around him fence, what's that nice little mathematical term that we can use
Miss
to describe
Parameter.
that? The perimeter. Awesome. So definitely we're talking about the perimeter here. So I want you to tell me what's the length of the fence that he will need.
Miss, weren't you supposed to change those to centimeter?
Well, you can change the centimeter because yes, Mariska, nice perimeter, right? Good job, guys. So you can definitely change it to centimeter if you wish, or you can leave it as meters. Because remember that if I buy it in centimeter, once we can convert it to meter, it's the same length. All right. So even if it has a different unit, once we're able to convert from one to the next and we get the same length, then that is great. All right. So whichever unit you want to use, that is fine. So far, I'm seeing where Marissa Stewart is saying 76 meters. I'm seeing Matthew Sinclair saying the same thing, 76 meters of fence. Awesome. I love the way you guys just have your sentences out. So 76 meters of fence. All right. Kaylee saying the same thing. Patrick, Mariska, yes, Zamir, Michael. I'm seeing Kevon, Ferguson, Melania. I'm seeing a lot of persons saying 76 meters. Hi, Rihanna. All right, so we have 76 meters of fence. All right, is that what you got, Jamari?
Mm, Miss, I hadn't really finished working up, but
Okay,
I'll
no
just say
problem.
76.
All right, so I'm seeing a lot of persons here sharing with us. So in order to work out our perimeter, I wasn't seeing anyone showing any calculations here in the chat, you know. So I would love to see even some calculation to show us how you've got your 76 meters of fence. It would be nice for you to share that, especially for our students who are not sure how to work it, as well as our new grade 3 students who might have been logging in with us here. All right, so here we see Lenny Basley is asking if it's 76 meters, can we explain? So I want persons to explain in the chat, how did we get 76 meters?
See, and I got the same 76.
How did you get 76 meters?
Miss, can I annotate on the board and show, or should I
You
just
could
say?
explain as well too. Would you like what do you prefer? You could explain because they already have their numbers. So you could explain to us how you got your 76 using your
Miss,
word.
but Miss, can I also like annotate and explain at the same time?
Okay. All right. Are you able to annotate?
Yes, Miss.
All right.
So the so it has 20 meters here and it has 18 meters here. So and it's asking to find the perimeter. This part would have been 18 meters as well.
Great.
This would have
Awesome.
been 20 meters. So all I would have done is multiply 20 by 2,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd have gotten 40, and you multiply 18 by 2. If you hear something in the background, that's my brother. He's in a class.
That's
Um,
okay.
you multiply 18 by 2, then you get 36. You add them, and then when you add them, now let me just use this first. Add 36. When, when you add them, this is the 4 and 3, then you get 7, and this part is 6 and a 0. And that's 6. So you get 76 meters is the answer.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, guys. And here what rumor has it that Jamari could be a great teacher. All right. Good job, Jamari. So now I'm seeing a lot of persons here in the chat who were explaining similarly as Jamari. So I see persons mainly explaining that we add 20 plus 20 plus 18 plus 18 and got 76 meters, which is something that we did. Lovely. And that is one way of working it. But Jamari showed us a second way, and that is also good. I see Akila Black who would have worked it the same way as Jamari. So guys, I'm also seeing Zamir Smichael. Good. So and Nalani explained here that the perimeter is a distance around a shape. So since I know the length equals 20 and the width equals 18 meters, I multiply the length and width by 2 and add the two products together, and I got 76. So basically, what I want, this is lovely because I understand what you're saying. However, I would love for you to say you multiply the width by 2, you multiply the length by 2, and you add the products, instead of saying you multiply the length and the width. It kinds of give us a different understanding. But I understand exactly what you're saying, Nalani. So great job, guys. And Lenny Vassal seem to know, understand. Great job. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jamari. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to clear the screen.
Miss,
All
I
right.
played it already.
All right. Thank you. All right. So let me take this off here as well. All right. So that is how we would come up with our 76 meters. So Farmer Luke needs to buy 76 meters of fencing for his fence. Great. All right. So let us move on. So Farmer Luke plans to plant the peas in the following fractions. He wants to plant the peas in the following fractions. So he's going to plant these peas. He's going to plant red peas. Some of you told me about red peas, remember? He's going to plant cowpeas, gungo peas, pigeon peas. These are the 4 kinds of peas that he's going to plant to sell to the factory. And you definitely would have said your gungo peas. I don't remember if I hear someone saying cowpeas, but I love cowpeas. All right. So let us go ahead, and we're going to first answer which peas will take up the greatest portion of the farm. So go ahead and do your calculations in your books, of course. Which pea will take up the greatest portion of the farm? Now, there are some things we need to consider when we're doing this. So what is the first thing you might need to do? What is the first thing you observe with the fraction of the farm that these peas will take up? Because the red peas is going to take up a third of the farm, the cowpea is going to take up a sixth of the farm, gungo pea is going to take up a quarter, and the pigeon peas will be taking up 3/12 of the farm. What do you notice about these fractions so far? Remember, you can type your responses in the chat as well. All right, Marissa says they have unlike denominators. We must notice that They all have unlike denominators. Now, Zaria, okay, so Janelle says the bottom numbers are not the same, definitely. So we all of them are unlike fractions.
Yes, I
They
got
have
my
different denominators. Hold on a little. We're taking it step by step. Hold on a little bit there, Jamari. So they all have unlike denominators. Now, Zarian Wang says all are factors of 3. What do you mean by that? All what are factors of 3? So, and Nalani is saying that since they're unlike, we need to rename all the fractions to determine which one will take up the greater space or the greatest space. What do we need to do then with these fractions to rename them? What's that nice math term that we use? We need to do what with them to rename them?
miss. You said to rename them.
Right. So I'm seeing someone in the chat. So I'm responding to all the responses, or most of them, because they're coming in quickly too. So someone had said that we need to rename. We need to rename to see which ones will take. Rename to see what each fractions are. So I'm already seeing responses to say which one will take up the greater space or the greatest space. What
Miss,
do
can
you
I?
have though,
Miss,
Jamari?
miss, I have one. I have a third.
A third? Okay. All right. So I'm looking at what the other persons have. So someone said 312s, and we're going to go through all of these. So I'm just waiting for others to share as well. So we have a person saying, all right. So Lenique says we need to find the least common multiple of 3, 6, 4, and 12. All right, so we're going to find the least common multiple of okay, all right. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to find equivalent fractions. So now that we find out that least common multiple for 3, 4, 6, and 12, it means that all of them will now have the same denominator. What denominator would all of them now have?
Miss, miss, miss. You mean what they all can go into?
Well, we're going to create equivalent fractions with them. So if we're creating equivalent fractions, all the fractions will have the same denominator. So I'm asking now, what is that common denominator? Because persons are sharing that we need to find that.
Miss 312.
All right, so Michaela says 12. No, we're talking about the denominator that all these fractions will have. So
Miss
Michaela says 12. Awesome.
Miss
Janelle is
12.
saying 12. Great. Awesome. 12. So 12 is exactly what we're looking for. Thank you. So the denominator that we're thinking about is 12. So we need to rename 1/3. So the denominator is now 12. So we're going to create an equivalent fraction for 1/3 that would have a denominator of 12. Same for copies, same for a quarter. And 3/12 is already has a denominator of 12. So I think we can just leave that one as is, right?
Yes.
All right, definitely. Great job, guys. So I have seen a lot of persons saying that 12 will now be your denominator. I'll give you guys a minute to tell me what would be the equivalent fraction now for the red peas if it's taking up 1/3 of the farm. What would be the equivalent fraction for 1/3 with the denominator being 12?
Miss, what is what? The
So we're
equal.
creating equivalent fractions for the fractions that we have because we have to rename them and ensure that all of them have the same equal the same number of equal parts or the same denominator. So we are going to rename all these fractions to ensure that if they have a denominator of 12, what would now be their numerator? So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to.
It's 12.
So what
3
would this new fraction be if we're creating an equivalent fraction of 1/3?
Miss, it would have been 4 over 12. And if you're
Okay, so 4
used
12.
to,
Remember, we're calling our fractions properly. So it's 4 12. And I'm seeing several persons here, like Zamir. I'm seeing Michaela. I'm seeing Kaylee, Melania. They're saying 4 12s as well. So definitely, because how we're going to do that, and I'm going to show you just a little quick way to do that, is if we have 12 here and we divide 12 into equal parts of 3, we'll get 4 of them. So 3 into 12 will give us 4. And because the numerator here is just 1, we'll multiply the 4 by 1, which will get back 4. So a quick way to work this out for those who are not really familiar with a quick way is we would, in order to do this, because we can create equivalent fractions by multiplying as well as dividing. So for this one right here, we would say 3 divided into 12 goes 4 times, and we multiply that 1 by 4, and we get 4. And so we write off 4 right here, and we end up with 4 12s. Now, it's good to
Miss
note that, hold on, Jamari, it's good to note that, because if it is that we did not have 1 as our numerator, we could not just write whatever we get when we divide this denominator into the other one. We would, because if we had like 2 here where the 1 is, 4 12s would not have been accurate. So we have to really multiply that number equal, or that number of thirds that we can get from the 12 by 1, or by whatever numerator we have, to give us the other numerator. All right. Yes, Jamari?
Miss, I was just trying to ask if I could put in the numbers that they are equivalent, the fraction that they are
No, we
equivalent to.
want we want the other persons on YouTube to be rolling with us as well. So we don't want to go right ahead. We're waiting for even the slowest student. All right. So we're taking it step by step, and we're waiting for even the students who will be getting it last. So we're not rushing it apart. We're taking it step by step. I want to hear from what the students here on YouTube are saying before I would put in any answer. I want everyone to be a part of what we're doing. Okay. So we're not rushing it up, we're not really rushing it. But let us look at the copies. The copies. If we have a denominator of 12 for the copies, what would this fraction really be? What's the equivalent fraction for 1/6?
Miss, it would have been 212.
2 12s. All right, let me hear from the others. I see Shanna Bell saying for copies it's 2 12s. All right, so Jasmine is saying 6 12s. Janelle saying 2 12s. Zidane saying 4. I'm not sure which one, if Zidane is answering the first one, but he says 4 12s. Rudy Ann Burke says 4 12s as well. Mark Francis saying 2 12s. So I'm not really sure which one some of us are responding to. All right, so I see plenty persons saying 2 12s, and I'm going to go ahead and work that here to see if that really is correct. So we first say that we can divide our 6 into 12, and that goes, 6 into 12 goes 2 times. So we're going to multiply our numerator here by the 2 to get the other numerator. So 2 times 1 gives us 2. All right, great. So we would have 2 12s for the copies. And I hope that we're all writing this down in our books, because we have questions, at least one more question to come that will need this information. All right, so what about the gungo peas? The gungo peas will take up a quarter. So definitely, Jamari, you are correct, and many of these other persons here are correct. So I see lots of persons going ahead with the gungo peas. What do you think about the gungo peas, Jamari?
Miss, the equivalent, I would have said it would have been um 3 over 312.
Good, 3 12s. So that's what we call our fraction. So we have 12 for our denominator, and we need to figure it out. So I see a lot of persons there saying 3 12s. And let's see if we are correct. So we will say 4 divided into 12 goes, help me out, Jamari, man.
Miss,
4 into 12 goes
Miss 3.
3 times. Good. So we multiply our 3 times 1, and that gives us 3. So definitely 3 12s is the correct answer, guys. Great job. What about the pigeon peas? Well, you see, pigeon peas, I don't know if a lot of you know the pigeon peas, because I'm not even sure if I know it either. But tell me now, the pigeon peas is 3 12s. We don't need to trouble that, don't it? So for the pigeon peas, we will have 312s. So it says which peas will take up the greatest portion of the farm. So now that we have all of them being equivalent, or should I say all of them having the same number equal parts, meaning the same denominator, it simply means then that we can go ahead and compare them. And which one would take up the greatest portion of the
This
farm?
one, it's the red peas.
Red peas. All right, let me hear from the others. It says, guys, which peas, not fraction. So I said Janelle saying red peas. Michaela saying red peas. Mark saying red peas. Dana, Jamari, they seem to be agreeing with you. They're all saying red peas. And here what, guys, you guys are correct, because if this one takes up 412s, this takes up 212, this one takes up 312s, and this one 312s. 412s is a greater portion, and so red peas would have taken up the greatest portion of the farm. All right, what about the peas that, awesome guys, great job. What about the peas that will take up the smallest portion of the farm?
Yes, it would have been the cowpeas.
Okay, you say cowpeas. Let me hear what the others are saying. All right, Lanique. Let me hear what the others are saying. Which peas will take up the smallest portion of the farm? All right. I see the cowpeas coming in. Yes, man. I see cowpeas. Everybody's saying cowpeas. Everyone agreeing with you, Jamari. They're saying cowpeas. I see Rudian saying red peas, though, and Dana, I'm thinking that they're responding to the first question. Right? So I see Janari, right, saying pigeon peas. All right, so let's look at this. So red peas is 412s, cow peas is 212s, gunga peas is 312s, and pigeon peas is 312s. So given that all of these have the same denominator, we can just go ahead and compare them, because it would mean that they're all cut in the same size parts, equal parts. And the 212s would be the smallest portion. And so cowpeas will take up the smallest portion of the farm. All right, great job, guys. Great job. And we're almost at the end, but we have been doing awesome so far. We've been doing great so far. All right. So remember, guys, you can always go back to this video, especially for the persons who joined late. You can always go back to this video. So at the end of the video, this video here, at the end of this lesson, the video will be made available to you. So you can always go back and watch again and, pause at some points and work this out, and then, unpause and continue and so on. And if we are actually going a little too fast for you, then you can go back at the end as well and watch it over and watch it, pause it whenever it's going too fast to get your own understanding. All right, guys. And then I want to thank you again for joining with me today as we explore these things here. So I want us to also consider this new question coming up now. All right, so this new question is, Farmer Luke is buying the 4 peas from the farm store. Wow. So Farmer Luke is now going to the farm store, because remember, performance task is so multifaceted that one part is linked to the next. So him done, mark out him farm now and say, all right, me can plant peas here. So one right here. So him organize up him thing and knows. All right. So him probably dig out the hole them to, and probably dig out those holes in his farm now, because he's saying, I'm going to the farm store to buy these peas, and when I come back, I'm just going to drop them in the hole. So I'm gone to the farm store now to buy the peas after organizing his farm and knowing how much peas he's going to buy. Now, it says that you're to note that each 2/12 of the pea farm takes 3 packets of peas. All right, so go ahead and tell us how many peas he's going to need to buy. Just give me a minute. Let me just plug my laptop in. All right. So he needs to buy his peas now, and we need to note that 2/12 of the pea farm takes 3 packets of peas. So there are some things that we need to consider. Now, let me clear this off right here. I want you to go ahead and determine then how many packets of peas Farmer Luke will need in all. How many packets of peas will Farmer Luke need in all? All right, so I know you're there doing your calculations, and that's the person saying six as already, So I'm seeing a lot of persons saying six, 7.5 packets of peas, miss. But remember saying, him can go to the farm store and buy half pack of peas or half packet of peas, right? So we have to think about it. So for every, it says now each 2/12 of the pea farm takes 3 packets of peas. And remember, just now we would have worked out, what fraction the red peas take up, and what fraction the cowpeas take up, and we work it's all out and everything of the 12s as well, the same equal parts. And I'm seeing Nalan is saying 18 packets, and a lot of six. I'm seeing a lot of six coming in, but you see what that now, guys? I want you guys to use up your sentences. Don't just say six, because you just write six at the end of a question. Sometimes we're not really understanding. You could be responding to a question before, and sometimes even on your paper when you're doing your test, your performance task exam, when you'll be doing it, sometimes you write a six that could be a part of the process but not the end product. So you need to ensure you write your answers after all that calculation. Write your answer in a sentence. All right. So I'm seeing 18 packets, 7 packets of peas. I'm seeing 6 packets. I'm seeing lots of all of those things. So let us look at the red peas. So the red peas is what? 4/12. So if the red peas is 4/12, how many packets of peas we need for red peas? That's what we need to think about first things now. We need to think about each piece, because we can't buy a packet of peas with both red peas and pigeon peas in it, if you understand what I'm saying. So that should be a little hint when you're calculating your peas. So go ahead and tell me how many packets of red peas does Farmer Luke need to buy? Take your time.
How many packets of red peas? He would have needed six packets.
Six packets of red peas. All right. Can you explain to me how you got 6 packets of red peas? I see Andres Shaw Robinson agreeing as well.
Is 2/12 is equal to 3 packets, and another 2/12 is equal to 3 packets. So I add both of those up, and then I get 6 packets.
All
Because
right.
2/12 and 2/12 it equals 4/12.
Great. Absolute, really good explanation. So we need 6 packets of red peas, because as Jamari said, that since each 2/12 takes 3 packets, and in 4/12s we have 2 sets of 2/12s, 2/12s plus 2/12s equaling to 4/12s. It means that for one 2/12s we need 3 packets of red peas, and for the other one we need another 3. So we end up with 6 packets of red peas. All right, so let me see what I have here for you. So red peas is 412s, and we have 6 packets for red peas. What about, what's the next piece again? Cowpeas. So cowpeas is 212s. How many packets of peas we need for the cowpeas now?
It's 3 packets.
All right, let me hear what the others think. So 3 packets, you say? Let me hear what the others think. How many packets of red peas are needed? All right, so I see someone saying that, Kelly saying that it needs 1 pack. Think about it. 3 packs of cowpeas. Think about it. Will it need 1 packet? Remember, it says that for every 212s, it needs how many? Tell them, Jamari, how many packets we need for every 212s? All right. So
Just
she
3.
corrected herself. All right, great. So thank you, Jamari, but she corrected herself. So she said she meant 3 packets. Definitely. Definitely, students. Don't worry, because we can make mistakes. But the greatest thing is that we need to learn from our mistakes. And that is, making mistakes is not all the time bad, because when you make mistakes, it means that next time you're approaching a question or a task or a problem like this, you know that this won't work, right? So you just got to try something else because you have made a mistake before. This didn't work, so you need to try something else. Awesome. So for the cowpeas, we need 3 packets of peas. What about the gungo peas?
Mm, Miss, I would say 5 packets. I'm not really sure about say 5 packets.
All right, so you would say 5 packets. All right, let me hear what the others have to say. All right. So for gungo peas, remember, guys, you don't just answer and say 3 packets or so. If it's responding for gungo peas, you say gungo peas is equal to X amount of packets. So Jamari had said 5 packets, but I want to hear from the others. All right. So Zarian Wong says 4 packs. Michaela says 4 packets for gungo peas. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear for gungo peas so we know what you're talking about. Kaylee says gungo peas need 6 packets. All right. I'm seeing 4 packets and I'm seeing 6 packets. I see Jasmine saying 5, Janelle saying 5 packets. Mm-hmm. All right. Some of them are correct in their answers. Or instead of saying correcting, they're changing their answers. And some persons are saying 4 packets and 6 packets now and so on. So let me think about this. Let us talk about this a little. So for gungo peas, we have 312. So 212s out of that will need 3 packets, right? So 212s would need 3 packets and we're left with 112s. Now remember now, if we bind the peas, we can't really be buying the peas a certain way because it did not tell us anything about, unless we're going to do some calculations here. We're gonna do some calculations here, but we're not gonna have any half a packet because we can't buy half a packet of peas. So for 212s, we will have 3 packets. And for the next 112s, we still need to buy 3 packets there because what are we gonna say? We're gonna buy 5.5 packets or 4.5 packets. How are we gonna look at it? They didn't tell us how this is going to work. So we're gonna round off again. And we're gonna round off and we're gonna use 6 packets for our answer. Because once we actually go into another 12, one out of the 12 or so, we need to think about buying the next 3 packets without doing any we can't buy an half a packet or anything. But of course, what we could do we know that if 2 12s is 3 packets, we know that 1 12 will be 1.5 packet. So we could have actually gone ahead and say then 3 packets plus 1.5 packets will give us 4.5 packets, and then we could go and say, all right, let us buy 5 packets. All right. So we could have used that as well. But remember now, at the end of the day, if you're asked to give your justifications, that is where it comes in. You explain how you got your 5 packets, how you got your 4 packets. And even though I have 6 packets here, I would want to change my answer to, I want my answer to be what? To be 5 packets. Because that make more sense, don't it? But then again, I just actually did some rounding off of packets and I just said, all right, 3 packets plus 3 packets. So for persons who are saying 5 packets, I would more want to go with you. So Jamari, you had said 5, right?
Yes, miss.
Right.
But
So I
I
would
figured I figured out. I understand how you got that now.
All right. All right. So we could have said 5 packets, and that would have also been a lovely answer. But I have 6 packets here. All right. So 5 packets, great answer. 6 packets, not even though I have it right here, I would want to resort. I would want to go back to having 5 packets instead of 6. All right. Let us look at the pigeon peas that has 3 12s. It simply means then that the same amount we're going to need for gungo peas, we're going to need it for pigeon peas, right? So
Yes,
that means
miss.
pigeon peas will also be 5 packets in what we're calculating
Six.
now. But I have 6 packets here because I was just buying per, the amount. So I have 6 packets. Some of you will have five. Will have five. Okay. We'll have 5 packets and so on. So all right. So let us work with our 6 packets then. I see a lot of persons we want to use our 6 packets. No problem. So we have all of these peas and this is the amount. So how many packets is he going to buy in all? How many packets is Farmer Luke to buy in all?
Miss Farmer Luke would have to buy 21 packets in all.
21 packets in all. All right. So Mariska Pinnock says 5 gungo and 5 pigeon. So here what? Because we have persons talking about that, and as I said to you before, I would want to use 5 packets instead of 6 packets. Because now, if we think about it, we don't have to buy 3 packets. We could just buy like 2 more and would have half of one of those packets left. So we can, if we use the calculation that I have here, and I'm going to go right ahead and I'm going to change it as well because I want us to all use the 5 packets and not 6. Because if we do precise calculations, it would be much better, or it would be a lot cheaper then to use 5 packets and not 6, since we might not need to pull even one of those extra packets that we're going to have. All right, so let us stick with this. Let us stick with having 5 packets, because as I would have explained before, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do the explanation again for those who are saying that they don't understand, and given that I had something different on the screen that I was saying to you, I'm just going to go ahead and explain this again. So we know that. So I'm going to start with gungo peas because we're all right with the first two. So we're going to go to gungo peas. And if gungo peas, we have 3 12s, but the information given is that for every 2 12s of the pea farm, we need 3 packets. So out of the 3 12s, 2 12s of it, we need 3 packets. Let me annotate so I can. We need 3 packets. 2 12s, we need 3 packets, and we have 1 12 left. With the 1 12s, that is actually half of the amount of packets that we're going to need, because 1 12 is half of 2 12s. And if 2 12s needs 3 packets, that means 1 12s would need 1.5 packet. And so that means we would have 3 packets plus 1.5 packet, but we can't buy 1.5 packets. So we have to run that 1.5 to 2 packets, simply because the farm store not selling any half packet of peas. So we'll have the 3 packets and we'll have this 2 packets because we can't buy 1.5. We have to buy 2. So we end up with our 5 packets of peas. Rihanna, Emmanuel, tell me if you understand what I've explained here. Do you understand it a little better now? All right, so I'm seeing, all right, so persons are saying then we'll have 19 packets in all. Great job. We'll definitely have 19 packets in all now. So we're going to use that, say that Farmer Luke needs to buy 19 packets in all. All right. All right, so I hope we would have understood now for those who really didn't get it before. All right, so let us move on to our next question. All right, so each packet costs $198.75. He has a budget of $4,350. That is talking about Farmer Luke. He has $4,350 to spend, and we want to know if that will be enough. So that's what you're supposed to be working on. If each packet costs that and he has that amount of money to spend, will he have enough money to buy the 19 packets of peas? And when you answer yes or answer no, remember to answer and leave a sentence or two justifying your answers. All right, so I'm looking in the chat here and I'm trying to see. So I know you guys are still working it out. And I want you guys to also explain to us what. Okay, so Simone Stevens says yes, miss. What does that mean? Yes, what are you referring to? Yes,
Yes,
will he
miss.
have enough money? That's what you're saying to Jamari?
Yes, miss. He'll have enough money to pay for all the packets
All
needed.
right. Can you tell us how you can tell us, explain to us in your words how you know that?
Okay, miss. So what I have done, what I have done, it says that for each packet. So for one whole packet, it costs $198.75. So and there's 19 packets in total. So all I did was multiply those two, and four. I get $3,776 $25. Then I subtract them both. I subtract 4,350 and 3,776.7525, and the change is 573.75.
All
So
right. So you're
yes, miss.
saying he can buy it and him have change leave.
Yes, miss.
Oh wow. So all right. So I'm seeing several persons here saying the same thing as you. So Mariska is also saying that he has enough money. And what she did, she said 19 packets cost $3,776.25. And he will have $573.75 left. She's definitely agreeing with you. Jasmine is saying that she multiplied $198.75 by 19 and she got that same $3,776.25. So yes, and persons are saying then that that would be less than the $4,350 that he has. So it would. Kelly says yes, his budget is enough. All right, guys. So indeed, he has enough money to buy those 19 packets and him have some change leave. So great job. That is definitely what I was looking for. So I would have done my calculation with the 21 packets that I started out with, and I ended up with different answers from you. So because we have agreed that we're going to use 5 packets instead of 6, so I'm just going to zoom past all those calculations I had because, of course, it will be enough definitely. But I did calculations with the 21 here, 21 packets, and got that. And then he would have some change left here, but you guys would have had some correct things. And you guys are correct. Now that we are at the end, all right, Kelly, you got the same answer. Now that we are at the end, I want to thank you again. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm going to try my best to do a session with you even once per week. I'm not sure the day, even once per week, so that at least we can keep our brain juice flowing.
Yes, Miss. Thank you very much for the class.
You're welcome, Jamari. And I know you're talking on behalf of all the students we have over here on YouTube. So thank you so much, guys. And keep practicing, man. Keep practicing. Find some performance tasks and keep practicing. And I will always come here with, try my best to come with an original task for you guys so that we can try other questions that we are not really, so much familiar with. So bye, guys. We're now at the end.
Bye, Miss. Enjoy your